You are lying flat on your back in bed. It is 2:14 a.m., and the blue light from your phone screen is burning directly into your eyes. Your thumb is on autopilot, scrolling past another milestone post from someone you went to school with. They just landed the dream role, bought the property, and unlocked the exact lifestyle you promised yourself you would build 12 months ago. Right now, you are looking at the exact psychological blueprint they used to get it. There is a precise hidden secret to getting what you want in life that you are currently missing, and this video is going to give you the exact mechanism to unlock it. Because right now, as you lock your screen, a heavy pit forms in your stomach. You know you are just as smart as them. You know you have the talent. Yet you are stuck in an exhausting cycle of overthinking, starting over, and running in place. The terrifying reality facing you right now is the math. If you do not change the mechanics of how you make decisions tonight, your next 365 days will look identical to your last. You will face the exact same bank balance, the exact same creative paralysis, and the exact same quiet regret. You do not have a laziness problem. You are being actively sabotaged by a single invisible psychological blind spot that dictates what you achieve before you even try. Until you dismantle this blind spot, every productivity hack, business strategy, or self-help book you buy is completely useless. Once this blind spot is flipped, the paralysis disappears and execution becomes automatic. But before you can unlock this leverage point, you must realize that the most common advice you have ever been given about success is actually a calculated trap, keeping you broke, tired, and stuck. Think about the standard advice dominating your feed right now. You are told to wake up at 4 a.m., sacrifice your social life, and grind until your eyes bleed. You're told that if you just want it bad enough, or if you write it down in a journal enough times, the universe will magically deliver your dream reality. This advice is an absolute trap. It is designed to make you feel guilty for being human, and it completely misdiagnoses why you are stuck. When you follow the standard hustle harder playbook, you are trying to force change using raw willpower. You wake up on Monday filled with intense motivation. You work for 12 hours straight, but by Thursday, the mental fatigue sets in. The friction becomes unbearable. You fall off the wagon, scroll through social media for 3 hours, and beat yourself up for lacking discipline. This cycle repeats indefinitely because you are trying to change your actions without changing the underlying system governing those actions. You are trying to drive a car with the emergency brake fully engaged. You can step on the gas as hard as you want, but you will only burn out the engine. The hidden secret to getting what you want in life is not about doing more things. It is about a concept called identity-driven leverage. Right now, your brain functions on a hidden feedback loop. Your current identity dictates your choices dictate your actions, and your actions dictate your reality. Most people try to change their reality by forcing new actions, which feels like pushing a massive boulder uphill. True leverage happens when you move all the way back to the beginning of the loop and alter your fundamental self-narrative. Think of your brain like a search engine that only ever shows you results confirming what you already typed. Whatever identity you believe in, your brain quietly builds the evidence for it. If your subconscious identity is wired to believe that you are an overthinker, a procrastinator, or someone who never quite finishes what they start, your brain will actively look for ways to self-sabotage. To dismantle this filter tonight, we are breaking your recovery into 3 distinct tactical pillars. Let's look at how your current broken filter plays out in a normal week. You decide you want to launch a new project, learn a high-value skill, or fix your finances. For 3 days, you execute perfectly. But because your underlying identity still views you as a struggling person trying to fix their life, your brain senses a mismatch between your internal blueprint and your external behavior. It panics. To protect its familiar identity, your subconscious mind creates subtle, justifiable excuses. You suddenly feel an overwhelming wave of exhaustion. You convince yourself that you need to do more research before taking action. You create an artificial crisis in your day that tears you away from your work. You literally blind yourself to opportunities, promotions, and creative breakthroughs that are sitting right in front of your face simply to keep your external reality aligned with your internal identity. When you shift your identity first, your actions change without friction. You no longer need to fight yourself to sit down and work. You do it because it is simply who you are. But understanding this secret conceptually is completely useless. In fact, most people who learn about identity-driven leverage end up failing faster than before. They fall headfirst into a silent, invisible friction point in their daily routine that completely wipes out their progress. To ensure this does not happen to you, we must enter Pillar 1, which strips away the hidden force causing you to freeze right before you succeed. The silent trap waiting for you the second you try to shift your identity is a sudden, overwhelming wave of psychological resistance. You decide that you are no longer a procrastinator. You are a disciplined operator. But the moment you sit down at your desk to execute, a quiet, cynical voice inside your mind whispers, "Who are you kidding? Look at your past. Look at all the times you quit. You are just pretending." This is the exact moment where most people freeze up. It is the invisible wall of the imposter narrative, and if you do not know how to bypass it, it will paralyze you for the rest of your life. To understand why this happens, look at your mind like a courtroom. For the last 5, 10, or 15 years, you have been accumulating evidence against yourself. Every time you set a New Year's resolution and broke it by February, you submitted an exhibit to the jury. Every time you hit snooze 4 times in the morning, you built the case that you are unreliable. Every time you left a project half-finished in a dusty folder on your desktop, you proved to your subconscious that you are a quitter. So, when you suddenly stand up and claim you are a new person, the internal prosecutor immediately pulls out a mountain of paperwork and says, "Objection, that is not who you are." When this narrative takes over, it forces you into a state of chronic hesitation. You find yourself spending 3 weeks tweaking a website design instead of launching it. You write an important email to a potential client or collaborator, but you leave it sitting in your drafts folder because you convince yourself it isn't perfect yet. You are terrified of being exposed as a fraud. The immediate cost of this hesitation is catastrophic. While you are waiting to feel qualified, less talented people who simply possess the courage to move are out there taking the market share, booking the meetings, and living the life that should be yours. You are voluntarily staying small out of fear of a judgment that only exists inside your own head. But imagine the absolute relief when you learn to completely decouple your identity from the immediate outcome of your actions. When you kill the imposter narrative, you stop viewing a mistake or a rejection as a reflection of your worth. If you launch a project and it fails, it doesn't mean you are a failure. It simply means the strategy needs adjusting. You begin to move through your day with a sense of pure, unshakable confidence because you realize that competence is built through execution, not permission. You stop waiting for the world to validate you, and you start validating yourself through the simple act of showing up. You become completely immune to the opinions of critics who are too afraid to even enter the arena. To achieve this state of frictionless action, you must implement a simple framework called the stack of undeniable proof. Instead of trying to think your way out of the imposter narrative using positive affirmations or mirror pep talks, which your brain instantly rejects as a lie, you must outsmart your self-doubt by making the action so small it requires zero willpower to start. If you want to build the identity of a writer, you do not write a book chapter today. You write one single, undeniable sentence. If you want the identity of an entrepreneur, you do not launch a massive store. You spend 5 minutes purchasing a domain name. Each tiny execution acts as a brand new piece of evidence submitted to your subconscious courtroom. Over a matter of weeks, the scale tips. The old prosecutor runs out of arguments because you have built a physical stack of proof that you are exactly who you say you are. Every time you catch yourself hesitating before hitting publish, sending an email, or making a hard decision, you must immediately ask yourself one question. Is this hesitation protecting my future, Or is it just protecting my old, comfortable identity? The second you shine a light on that hidden fear, it loses all its power over you. You shift from a person trying to avoid making mistakes to a person who actively collects feedback. But rewiring your internal narrative is completely useless if you finish this video and immediately step right back into an environment that forces you to be small. Your new mindset cannot survive an environment designed for your old self. That brings us directly to the invisible cage that is quietly draining your energy every single day. Think about the environment you step into the moment you wake up. Your phone is sitting directly next to your pillow, loaded with dozens of hyper-optimized notification badges designed to hijack your attention before your feet even touch the floor. Your digital workspace is a chaotic mess of open browser tabs, unread personal messages, and distracting entertainment shortcuts. Even your physical room or workspace is filled with clutter that constantly sends a silent, subconscious signal to your brain that your life is unorganized. Trying to build a brand new, highly successful life inside an environment built for your old, distracted self is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. Think of your environment like the gravitational pull of a massive planet. Your willpower is a tiny thruster rocket trying to blast away into deep space. Every time you try to ignore a pinging phone, force yourself to stay focused while looking at 20 open tabs or work inside a disorganized room, you are burning your rocket fuel just to stay level. Willpower is a finite cognitive resource. Every single time you make a decision to resist a temptation, you are draining that mental battery. By 2 a.m., your willpower is completely depleted. Your thruster rocket runs out of fuel, the gravity of your old life pulls you back down, and you inevitably collapse back into your worst habits. The cost of this structural failure is devastating. You waste hours fighting your immediate environment instead of executing your actual goals. You end your days feeling completely exhausted despite having accomplished almost nothing of real value. But imagine the absolute ease of a day where making a right choice requires zero mental effort. When you master environmental engineering, you completely eliminate the need for discipline. You don't have to fight the temptation to procrastinate because you have systematically removed the triggers from your line of sight. Your focus becomes deep, uninterrupted, and effortless. You walk into your workspace and your brain instantly shifts into a high-performance flow state because your surroundings are optimized for one thing only: absolute execution. You begin to move 3 times faster than your competition simply because you aren't wasting mental energy fighting yourself just to get started. To build this frictionless reality, you must implement the rule of proximity architecture, utilizing a tactical 2-step protocol: friction up and friction down. First, you must apply friction up to your destructive habits. If your biggest time vampire is a specific social media app, you do not just resolve to use it less. You log out of the account, delete the app from your home screen, change the password to a complex string of characters you can't remember, and write that password down on a physical piece of paper in your basement. You make the path to procrastination so irritatingly inconvenient that your brain gives up before you even start the loop. Second, you apply friction down to your productive habits. If you need to record content, your camera, lights, and microphone should remain permanently set up on your desk, ready to activate with a single power switch. If you need to write code, your text editor should automatically launch the second you log into your laptop. You design your physical and digital spaces so that the habits that move you closer to your goals have the absolute lowest hurdle to clear. You make the bad choices incredibly inconvenient to execute and the good choices completely unavoidable. You stop expecting your mindset to fix your environment, and you start letting your environment fix your mindset. Once your surroundings are locked in, you will start seeing massive compounding progress within a matter of days. You will feel an incredible wave of momentum as your output skyrockets. But there is a silent, terrifying trap waiting for you right when you start winning. If you do not know how to handle the sudden influx of success, you will trigger an internal panic switch that destroys everything you just built. Here's a pattern almost nobody warns you about. It is not failure that quietly resets most people back to zero. It is success. You implement the identity shift, you clean up your environment, and suddenly things begin to click. You land your first major client, your views spike, your income jumps, or you finally break through a creative block that has kept you trapped for months. You feel a massive rush of excitement. But right behind that excitement, a silent psychological self-sabotage loop is quietly preparing to pull the rug out from under your feet. When you experience a sudden burst of success, your brain hits an invisible comfort threshold. Because you are no longer in immediate pain or financial stress, the urgent pressure to execute vanishes. You tell yourself, I've earned a break, or I can afford to slack off just for today. You take your foot off the gas. You let the bad digital habits creep back into your workspace. You stop doing the identity audits. The cost of this comfort trap is a brutal, agonizing whiplash. You slip right back into the old routine, lose all your hard-earned momentum, and find yourself right back at square one, wondering how you managed to lose your grip on a winning streak. But imagine the power of a life where success does not make you soft, but instead makes you dangerous. When you master your success velocity, you turn small, isolated wins into a self-sustaining avalanche of momentum. Instead of slowing down when things go right, you use that positive energy as fuel to accelerate even faster. You stop viewing a win as a finish line and start viewing it as the baseline for your next move. Growth ceases to be a stressful uphill battle and becomes an automatic compounding force. You become the type of person who doesn't just reach the top of a mountain, but immediately looks for the next highest peak to climb. To lock in this compounding momentum, you must implement the framework of the identity baseline. Every single time you achieve a milestone, you must immediately redefine that win as your new, non-negotiable minimum standard of reality. If you hit a new income goal, that number is no longer a high watermark to celebrate. It is your new absolute floor. You do not celebrate by indulging in the habits of the old person you used to be. Instead, you instantly ask yourself, what does the version of me who operates at a level 10 times higher than this do next? You keep your internal blueprint moving forward faster than your external achievements can catch up. Implementing these 3 pillars will instantly put you miles ahead of 99% of the people you went to school with. But if you want to skip the line entirely, compress years of trial and error into a matter of days, and completely outrun your old life, you must apply the final accelerator rule. The final mechanism to skip the line entirely and compress years of struggle into a matter of days is a rule that runs completely counter to everything you have been taught about success. It is the rule of imperfect execution velocity. Most people are trapped in a state of perpetual preparation. You tell yourself that you need to read one more book, watch one more tutorial, or wait for the perfect moment when you feel completely ready. But perfectionism is just a socially acceptable mask for cowardice. It is a sophisticated way for your old identity to keep you safe from the risk of judgment while you are busy planning, analyzing, and optimizing a plan that you haven't even tested yet. The person who is willing to move with messy, imperfect action has already failed twice, learned the lesson, pivoted, and secured the win. Speed of execution beats perfection every single time. If you want to permanently shatter the psychological blind spot that has kept you stuck, you cannot think your way into a new identity. You must act your way into it. The absolute second this video cuts to black, you are commanded to close your browser app, put your phone face down, and spend the next 10 minutes executing one specific, high-leverage task that you have been actively avoiding for the past week. Add one entry to your stack of undeniable proof. Send the raw email. Outline the project. Draft the message. Do it poorly. Do it fast. But do it right now. Your old life is actively betting that you will finish this video, feel a temporary rush of motivation, and then immediately return to your autopilot routine. Prove it wrong. Turn off the screen, enter the arena, and go get exactly what you want.